When I help families put together a retirement plan, there's one question that's asked every time without fail. When should I take Social Security? Mathematically, the answer is simple, but the best answer, believe it or not, is not always so simple. Regardless, I want to show you how to answer the question. And by the end of this video, you'll know your exact break-even ages, the real trade-offs of claiming early, and what the trust fund shortfall actually means for you. So let me walk you through it. And before we start, one thing. This is education, not a recommendation for your specific situation. Everyone's numbers are different, and you should run yours by a professional before you decide. What I can give you is the framework, and the framework is mostly math. So let me introduce you to Diane. Diane is 62 years old, she's healthy, she's about to retire, and she has a choice to make. Her full benefit, the amount she would get at her full retirement age of 67, is $2,000 a month. That is our starting number for everything that follows. And here's the first thing you need to understand. The age you claim changes the size of your check for the rest of your life. Social Security is built around your full retirement age. For anybody born in 1960 or later, that age is 67. You can claim as early as 62, and you can wait as late as 70. Where you land on that scale decides your monthly amount. Claim at 62, and Diane does not get her full $2,000. She gets 70% of it. That is $1,400 a month locked in for life. Claim at 67, her full retirement age, and she gets the full $2,000. Wait until 70, and Social Security adds 8% for every year she delays past 67. That brings her up to 124% of her full benefit. That is $2,480 a month, again for life. So the same person with the same work history can lock in $1,400 or $2,480 depending on one decision. That's a swing of $1,000 a month. Now, let me show you the math that actually answers the question here. This is the part that a lot of people miss. When you claim early, you're trading a smaller check for more checks. When you wait, you're trading fewer checks for a bigger one. The break-even age is at the point where those two paths cross. For that age, claiming early puts more money in your pocket. After that age, waiting wins. So let's run Diane's numbers. Compare claiming at 62 against waiting until 67. By starting at 62, Diane collects $1,400 a month for 5 years before the other path even begins. That's a head start of $84,000. Starting at 67, she collects $600 more every month, $2,000 instead of $1,400. To catch up that $84,000 head start at $600 a month takes about 140 months. That's a little under 12 years. Add that to age 67 and you land at roughly age 78 and a half. So here's the rule for Diane. If she does not expect to live past 78, claiming at 62 can put more total dollars in her pocket. If she lives past 78, waiting until 67 wins, and it keeps winning for the rest of her life. Now, let's compare 67 against 70. Same logic. Waiting for 67 to 70 means giving up 3 years of checks to get a bigger one. That break even lands at around age 82 and a half. And one note on these numbers. I kept them simple on purpose. I didn't fold in the cost of living adjustments or investment returns. Those move the exact break even by a year or two in either direction, but the shape of the answer does not change. So the real question underneath all this is not really about money. It's about how long you expect to live. A 65-year-old man today lives on average into his early 80s, and a woman lives into her mid-80s. And those are averages, which means a large share of people live well past them into their 90s. If you're in good health and your family tends to live long lives, then the math leans towards waiting. But let me be straight with you about the case for claiming early, because it's very real. First, cash in hand today is worth something. If you need the money to live at 62, then that settles it. A benefit you can use now beats a bigger benefit that you may not live to collect. And second, if you're in poor health or you have a family history of shorter lifespans, the odds shift towards claiming early. You may never reach that break-even age. And third, some people would rather take their money out of a government program now and control it themselves. That's a personal call, and it's a valid one also. And fourth, claiming early can let your savings keep growing. If taking Social Security at 62 means you pull less out of your investment accounts, that money stays invested. And for some people, that trade makes sense. And one more point in favor of claiming early, and I think this is probably the biggest one. A dollar at 62 is worth more than a dollar at 78. The break-even math treats every dollar the same, no matter when it lands in your hands. Real life doesn't work that way. Money you can receive at 62 can be invested and given years to grow, and even more importantly, it can be spent during the time you are most active and healthy. Those early retirement years when you can travel and do the things that you've been planning to do carry the value a spreadsheet does not capture. A dollar that finally reaches you at 78 arrives at an age when you may already be slowing down, so the break-even age is not the whole story. Waiting can win on paper, but taking it early can still be the right call for the life you actually want to live. Now, the other side. Here's what claiming early costs you. You lock in the smallest possible check for the rest of your life. That 30% haircut never comes back. You also shrink the benefit your spouse may depend on. When one spouse passes away, the survivor keeps the larger of the two checks. Claiming early can permanently lower that survivor benefit. For married couples, this is one of the most overlooked costs of taking Social Security early. And here's what that looks like. Say Diane's husband has the larger benefit, and he claims early, locking in a reduced check. If he passes away first, Diane steps into that reduced amount for the rest of her life. Waiting would have technically left her a larger cushion. That one decision can echo on for a long time. And if you claim early and keep working, Social Security can actually temporarily hold back part of your check through something called the earnings test. If you earn above a set limit before your full retirement age, they withhold some of your benefit for now. The good news is you get credit for it later. Your benefit is recalculated upwards once you reach full retirement age, but put simply, claiming early while you still have a paycheck can mean giving some of it back in the short run. Now, let me get to the part that has a lot of people scared, and maybe the reason many of them are rushing to claim early: the Social Security Trust Fund. You've probably seen the headlines, Social Security is running out of money. Let me tell you what's actually true and what's not. Social Security runs on two trust funds. The big one that pays retirement benefits is projected to run low in late 2032. That date has moved around a little with each yearly report and has been getting slightly earlier. But here's the part the headlines leave out. Running low does not mean running out. Social Security is funded by, mostly, payroll taxes. Every paycheck in America pays into it. Even if the trust fund reserve is depleted, that tax money keeps coming in, and it keeps paying benefits. The best current estimate is that if nothing changes, the program could still pay about 78% of scheduled benefits after that point. So when you look at it that way, it doesn't go to zero. It's about 78 cents on the dollar unless Congress acts before then. And history says Congress usually acts, often at the last minute. Social Security's actually faced a shortfall like this before, back in the early 1980s, and lawmakers made changes to shore it up. The fixes aren't fun, and they usually mean higher taxes, a higher retirement age, or trimmed benefits for high earners. The point is that the program has been repaired before, though. So, should the trust fund change your claiming decision? For most people, the answer is no, or barely. Here's why. If you're worried benefits might get cut later, claiming early locks in a smaller check now. That's trading a possible future cut for a guaranteed present one. If Congress does close the gap, and it usually does, you gave up income for a fear that didn't come true. So let the math and your own life expectancy drive the decision, and not the headlines. So let me pull this all together. Start with your health and your family history. If you have every reason to expect a long life, or you're just worried about outliving your money, waiting can be the stronger move, because the bigger check does pay off for decades. Next, question to ask yourself, are you married? If your benefit is the larger of the two in your household, waiting protects your spouse through a higher survivor benefit. Then look at whether you need the money. If you need it at 62 to cover your life, take it. Peace of mind counts, and no math beats being able to pay your bills. And set the trust fund fear to the side. Plan for about 78 cents on the dollar as a worst case scenario if that helps you sleep. Make your decision based on your health, your marriage, your income needs, and what you want your life to look like in retirement. But here's the bottom line. Claiming early isn't wrong. For plenty of people, it makes sense. For a healthy person who doesn't need the money right away, the math can favor patience. The longer you can wait, up to age 70, the larger and safer your income floor becomes. And one last time, this is education, not personal advice. Your situation has details I cannot see from here, so run your own numbers or sit down with somebody who can run them with you. That's all I got. I hope this was helpful. Have a good rest of your day.